Hang on. I visited the battleship since I was 5 years old. Lots of memories of visiting the ship over the years. I bought that bourbon glass. From the battleship gift shop. The last time I took the family. Oh no! Yeah. See. Yeah. Oh mate, I am sorry about that. That sucks. See, now my wife gets young at me sometimes because she'll buy me a cup or a glass or something, and then I will put it in a cupboard and just don't touch it because it's irreplaceable sometimes, you know. Just gonna have to plan another visit, I guess. Well, yeah, there's always that. They never seem to sell glasses and stuff in brothels, though, do they? I can never find a legitimate reason to go back. Oh, please yourself. I'm only going to get a glass, you know, it won't be long. You know how long it takes me to choose the right glass. What do you think about legalizing cannabis, Pitbull? See your opinion on it. Probably because it's usually not a good idea to go home with merch from that particular establishment. Well, yeah, true. Yeah, no, I could see you play for that one. But then how else am I going to be able to go back when the glass gets broken? You know, I'm trying to cover my bases here, but I don't think I thought it through. I think you've just shined a light on a glaring issue of the problem. Should we do this number 12 here? Yeah, why not? Let's get into it. Probably because, yeah. I say make it legal and put a 50% tax on it, and the yes, yeah. Talking of debt, I couldn't sleep last night, and I was thinking about something. Now, I'm knowledgeable about a lot of things in this life, but I also hold my hands up to the things that I'm not knowledgeable about. Right, so anybody that wants to chime in on this, please feel free, because I would genuinely like to know. Right, so this is what I was thinking about last night. All countries in the world, right, are in debt. They owe a debt, right? And let's turn around and say that collectively, I'm just going to throw out an arbitrary number, which isn't correct, but just for the purposes of this conversation, right? Let's say that all of the countries in the world owe, say, 100 trillion pounds, right? That's the debt that all countries have accrued. Where do they pay that to, and who do they pay it to? That's the first question that I would like an answer to. The second question I have is, whoever they are, how did they get 100 trillion pounds in the first place? And when they get this $100 trillion back, what will they do with it? It's not one entity. Okay, so what is it then? Because, like, if I borrow money from a bank, I owe the bank money, right? who is it? At some point it must be something or someone that had that money to lend or give. Who is it? I can honestly turn around and say I don't know. And if people think I'm stupid because I don't know that, then fine. But, you know, at least I'm trying to educate myself to find out who it is. Do you know Hanoi Rocks? I can't say as I do. It doesn't ring a bell. Who are they? Hanoi Rock. The way countries work, they get a little from country A, a little from country B, a little more from country C, and even different banks. Okay. But the thing is, Pitbull, right, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, every single country in the world is in debt. That much I've read. That much I kind of found out from when I was asking myself this question last night. So if every country's in debt, how can the debted country give money to another debted country that they don't have? And then, if that's the way it works, right, then what happens if no one pays that money back? What are the physical ramifications of not paying it back? And when I say not paying it back, I mean all countries, not just one or two. I mean all countries say, well, we can't afford to pay it back and that's it, sorry. What would happen then? I'm going to do this bit down here because this is going to be exactly where my hand's going to go the next time when I do some painting. So it would be nice to have this bit out of the way so I could just use this as a nice resting point. There and there. Eventually you get to a point where all currencies collapse and then everything globally would reset. Okay, right, fair enough, right? So, and you may or may not be able to answer this question, what happens if we have a global reset? If no one paid and it forced a global reset, what would happen? Who gets affected by that? Who loses by a global reset? don't think anyone actually knows. Because here's the thing that I was thinking about last night, right? Everybody's saying, basically, if you look at the governments and their initiatives so far, all of their initiatives are to charge you to do something, right? So Hanoi Rocks was doing a world tour with the Motley Crue, and then their drummer died in a car crash in the tour. That's why they didn't get so popular. Oh my god! Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, so I was kind of sitting there thinking, right? And this might be like a conspiracy theorist thing of mine thinking or whatever else, or it might just be some kind of negative thinking, whatever you want to take it. But I sat back and thought to myself, well, I don't know who these people are that we owe this money to. I've never heard of them, and nobody else seems to know, because I've been asking today, and I've been hit with the same kind of things as what you've said there, people, right? They don't actually know, right? And then I was sitting here thinking, if we had a great reset, because it wasn't anybody we actually owed money to, right? It kind of got me questioning money in general. What would happen if we just decided, like, we don't need money now? We don't need to pay for things. And then everybody was like saying to me that I've been saying, well, then everything would have no worth. And it's like, well, but does that stop the thing that you have from working? Right? And I'm literally talking about this in its most basic premise. So if you think I'm talking out my head, or I'm being ridiculous, or there's something I haven't actually given any thought to, you're probably right. And I'm not professing to know anything about it. I'm just an ordinary man with an ordinary thought, with an ordinary analytical mind, right? So please don't judge. But if you have any comments on where I've gone wrong or what I've said that's wrong, then please tell me, because I'd love to be educated on it. Because I've tried to find information on this online, and it seems to be very hidden and very unclear, right? So the way so if everything is worthless, then what is the incentive for anyone to make anything for any person of any specific need? Shall I tell you what it is, Pitbull? Shall I tell you why? Because we all still need to eat, right? Our need to explore, our need to learn, that wouldn't stop just because we didn't have money. Because you think about it, buddy. You think about some of the richest people in the world, right? That have money like we will never even begin to imagine, right? Do they sit on their backside and do nothing? Do they just sit in their in their pools and their houses and just count their money? No, they are out there trying to make more money and more money and more money and innovate and do stuff, right? But what do you mean that's not what you say? Okay, so what did I miss? So if everything is worthless, and what's the incentive to make everything? And then what's the need for that specific thing? Well, yeah, things become worthless. But then, you know your glass, Pitbull, that you just smashed? How much is that worth to you? Can you put a price on it? And I'm asking specifically what that glass was worth to you. What price would you put on that? Sometimes it takes Pitbull a while to answer back because he is at work, bless him. So if I go quiet sometimes because I'm waiting for him to respond, but I never rush anybody because I know that they've got lives and they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. Kind of why I usually scoot off onto another conversation very quickly, just to, you know, take the pressure off of them from not answering. because I've been the other side of the coin and been the person that sort of sat there having the question asked. It's like, oh, I can't answer you, I'm doing something. That's why I never put pressure on. So yes, everyone needs to eat. So each person would grow their own. No, I'm not saying that, but build their own shelters. I'm not saying that. Make their own clothes. But what would be the incentive for anyone to make the other things for other people if they get no benefit of doing so? Well, okay. I was thinking about this too, right? Except for, let me ask you a personal question now, and I want your honest answer, right? If you could build a home with your own hands, you personally, right? Well, then we can. What about? Well, couldn't you go onto the bartering system? Like, I can't build a house, but I can repair your computer. So I'll repair your computer. You build my house. Wouldn't that work just as well? That's what money is, just an advanced form of it. Right, okay. But the thing is that with money right now, we have rich people that have too much of it, more than they could ever spend in 2 or 3 lifetimes. And yet we have people that are dying because they can't get any kind of food. So at what point does people turn around and say, well, we can't let people die, that's not fair? And to be fair with you, mate, you've got all this money, and yeah, you've been clever enough to work for it and get it and whatever else, but you know, you're going to have to relinquish some of that. But no one's ever going to say that, because then, of course, where do you draw the line there? Because that's money that you've earned. So, I do understand that. I get where that is coming from. But if we never had any money at all, how do we know that we wouldn't build for somebody else? How do we know that it wouldn't be better if we're never prepared to try it? Why isn't, you know, the governments, they all pilot all of these different schemes, right? Regardless whether we want them or not, regardless whether or not they actually help out the everyday common folk and it benefits them, right? Or whether it costs them too much money. Like, look at all of how much food prices are and whatever else. You know, nobody's like seeing or caring about the plight of the ordinary person, right? Because it feels like it's survival of the richest, not the fittest anymore, right? But they'll do this without asking us, right? But they won't pilot a system with like, okay, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to try it. We're going to see if actually having a society with no money would work. And you wouldn't have to spend like hundreds of billions of pounds to do it. You know, you're just saying like, okay, we're prepared for you to just go off grid and build your own town and govern it yourself. You will still follow the same laws of the land. You know, you can't murder, rape, whatever else, and hurt people and blah, 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 right? But other than that, it's all on you. And then just to see what the community would end up like. But in all honesty, I feel like we're never going to see that, right? Because then we wouldn't have the rich and poor divide anymore. Powerful people being powerful people because they have money would stop. Powerful people would then be the intelligent people, the people who work for their living, you know, and not just found a loophole in the system to make millions, or wouldn't have insider trading, you know, tips from nepotismed people in a sector which no normal person really is going to get into. In my opinion, this is an issue with government that not working the way they should, as opposed to people hoarding money that they will never use. Yeah, no, and this is what I mean. And the thing is that I feel like that I don't know many people that have just asked the questions that I've just asked. I don't know. I mean, I could be completely wrong. People could have already figured this one out and were like, Mark, what are you doing, mate? Seriously, we had this discussion ages ago. We all know why it is, you know. But the more and more people that I'm speaking to, the more and more I'm beginning to realise that I'm not alone, never thinking about this. And I've never thought about this before. Genuinely, I've never thought about it before. And I don't know what actually sparked off my thinking of it last night. It literally just come out of nowhere. And I even said to my wife this morning, and she didn't know. I asked my boy this morning. He said something about the Treasury or something. And the Treasury prints money if we need more money. So we borrowed it from the Treasury. So then I asked him, I said to him, well, what happens if you can't pay the Treasury back? And then he said, well, the Treasury comes in and takes what you've got. And it's like, but why would they come in and take what you've got when they could just print more money? And then he turned around and said to me, well, you know, if that's the case, then it would make money worthless and then everything would just collapse. And I said, well, why? He said, well, because things wouldn't be worth anything anymore. And I said, but people would be happier because they wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. You know, everything would be free, essentially speaking. I mean, obviously we'd have to, you know, like still get power and stuff. And if you believe what people say on TikTok or you know, conspiracy theorist places and whatever else, that we're supposed to already have free energy. And it just feels to me like, if that's actually true, we're literally kept in this perpetual motion of servitude just to keep the rich richer. And that's scary. Like, really scary, if it's true. And like I said, this just what come to me last night when I couldn't sleep. Oh, boy. So, yeah. Don't take what I say here as gospel and, you know, this is the way it is. And, you know, and if you agree with me, then fine, you know, do research on it. Do not just act on it or whatever else. Because I'm just an idiot that streams. I'm no learned man. Let's have a look here. That's why I am a proponent of a small government that's held accountable to complete transparency, but the governments around the world have pretty much all become bloated, insufficient entities that exist only to their own power rather than the citizens. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, right? I got moaned at because I don't vote. Yes, I will openly admit this in an open forum, in a public forum. I do not and have never voted. And the reason that I do not and have never voted is because I don't want any of the parties to be in control. Give me a party that I can believe in and that actually stands for us, and I actually think that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. I will get off my backside and I will go down and vote. Until that day, none of my voting is going to make any difference whatsoever. And this was the party political broadcast by the Mark Buddy Party.